man. It's Murdamitten TV, man. Checking in. Let you know about the current news going on. Some little stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I'm going to get right to it. Oh, no, Scurry. Gilly kid.
But as we all know, an arrest ain't the only justice in the street. And to be honest, most street dudes will see their op getting arrested as an easy way out. They will much rather prefer handle justice in their own hands.
Breaking details on the homicide investigation of 17-year-old Noah Scurry. He's the star student athlete gunned down outside his home in front of his mother while getting ready to head to Samuel Fells High School. And that's where our Kelly Rule is live for us tonight. Kelly, what are you learning?
Thousands of families have trusted us with their most.
Yeah, man. We got Drake. He was number 6 in trending for this song, Crying Chanel, where he dissed Melissa Ford, where he dissed Joe Budden, really. You know what I'm saying? Melissa Ford just caught a straight, man. Just going through the latest news, man. He been running for me. You know, Rio got out. Christian Shields won her fight, man. Some Murdamitten TV. I just been covering a lot of different topics. You know what I'm saying? My petition that I got, a lot of court cases. You know what I'm saying? A lot of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, man. As you can see, KPD, he back in court trying to, you know what I'm saying, fight for his innocence.
Sources are telling me they believe Noah Scurry appeared in a rap video with guns that was posted to social media the day before he was killed.
Scurry, this is the hood static shock. During the day, he was a basketball star. He was the smartest kid in his school. He had the highest SAT scores. He had D1 to college offers. But during the night, he was a murderous, gang-banging rapper. And he would even wear a mask whenever he rapped or whenever he engaged in street activities because he didn't want for that to interfere with his high school basketball dreams. Yo, this is a D1 crash out in the lights we ain't never seen before. He had D1 offers to go to college, and he was a D1 crash out in the streets. He would rap about having 5 bodies, and then in this newly released song called Swing My Way, he openly raps about how now they would need 2 hands to count his bodies. Insinuating that he just caught another one and put his body count to 6. I know what y'all are thinking, man, Flacco, cut the buffoonery, bruh. This kid ain't never catch no bodies. Yeah, it would seem like it, but no. This kid was an alleged killer. During the day, his family only knew him as Noah, the basketball player. But during the night, he was known as Joker OTV. And he wasn't just rapping about bodies. He was allegedly catching the bodies as well. See, he was being credited for a very high-profile murder in the city of Fat Dame. Noah not only murdered Fat Dame allegedly, but he walked him down with a switch and took his face off in broad daylight. Noah Scurry was never arrested or charged with the death of Fat Dame before his own death, but it was pretty well known in the city of Philadelphia that Noah Scurry may have been responsible for that death. But that death was so vicious and so ruthless that the high school girl who walked by stated, "Oh my God, his face is off." So if Noah Scurry is responsible for something that vicious and that ruthless and that cold, this wasn't just an average kid. This is a sociopath. This is a kid who was bloodthirsty. And when you look at all the rumors going on and you hear people who's close to the situation speak about it, this doesn't appear to be a situation where Noah Scurry is getting revenge for anything, or where Noah Scurry did this because he's repping a block and they're ops. No. Noah Scurry represents a particular clique, OTV, who apparently their entire mission is to just catch high-profile bodies to get their rep up. They're not beefing with these people. They don't people. Their mission is to catch high-profile bodies to get their rep up. It's like Aiden Waters and YBC Duel. YBC Duel had no issues with Aiden Waters. Aiden Waters was a high school track athlete, a high school star who could have won a college on a scholarship as well. But Aiden Waters caught the body of YBC Duel because he wanted to get his rep up. So these are not situations where these people are adversary. So to walk somebody down with a switch and take their face off like that, with no intentions, no malice, no hatred, no animosity in your heart for that person, it shows you're just a different breed.
Officials as 17-year-old Noah Scurry.
It's a horrible day. This is something that no one imagined. The student, according to police, was getting in the car on his way to school behind his house with his mom. So this is something that is quite unimaginable.
When you hear about the crimes that Noah was allegedly involved in, it would somewhat make sense when you hear the manner in which he died. They walked up while he was in front of his mama, getting in his mama's vehicle, and they murdered him in front of his mom. For something like that to happen to you, Brad, they would have had to have such malice, disdain, hatred in their heart for you that is unimaginable to even explain or try to comprehend. Their hatred for Noah could be explained if Noah was walking up to people with switches taking their face off. Now, shortly after his death, a few hours, the murder vehicle was located. It was a white Jeep. And a day after the murder vehicle was located, one man was taken into custody for the murder of Noah. I believe that 3 people could be involved, but one man that's currently in custody is C-Baby, which is Gilly's nephew, YG Chee's cousin. Now, it's currently unclear why police are speaking to C-Baby or why or what they believe his role in Noah Scurry's death is, but C-Baby is currently in custody. Now, the interesting thing about this is before C-Baby got arrested or got detained for Noah Scurry's murder, C-Baby had a very interesting IG post. C-Baby is keeping it true to the street code, man. The body ain't worth it if the streets don't know you did it. So after allegedly catching the body of Noah, man, he's on the IG story dissing Noah. My FanDuel ticket cooked. Just know they did it first. Blood, whole. He went ahead and said, I feel sorry for his mama. Clown, broken heart emoji. But this right here is the post we got to pause on. He would write, get your rest, Cheesy. That boy gas now. Confirming they smoked Noah Scurry because Noah Scurry was responsible for the death of YG Cheese. But it gets more self-incriminating, people. See, the song he used, Intro by Lil Durk, it had some very incriminating lyrics. On the intro, Lil Durk rap, see the one that killed my blood, laying in blood, I can rest. Now, obviously this applies to the situation, but it applies to the situation in a deeper sense. There was a video going around of Noah Scurry laying in blood as his mama is over him hugging him. This right here is not just this is the most self-incriminating thing I ever seen, bro. Ever. At this point, me and the police do the same job, bro. We look at IG for a living and we get paid for it. It's time to go to the police academy, bro, because catching these ninjas is getting easier and easier as the day go by, man. But it doesn't appear that C-Baby even cared about incriminating himself. He wanted people to know that this was because of Cheese. He wanted people to know that Noah died because he did something to Cheese. It's a shame, man. But if Noah Scurry was out here claiming to have 5 bodies, and one body they're claiming is he walked down Fat Dame with a switch and took his face off, and now Cheese family is claiming he killed Cheese. The Noah Scurry was a menace, right? Then Noah Scurry was allegedly demonic, a serial killer. So it doesn't appear like C-Baby, if he was involved or is involved, it doesn't appear he cares about being arrested by the police for this at all. It looks like he's pretty satisfied with the outcome. And he was ready to go to jail or ready for whatever, the consequences would be because he got his man. Y'all let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think about this? And if you're still watching, click on this video somewhere on my screen to find out why Jamie Foxx is currently beefing with Cat Williams for saying this about him. Click on this video here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.
See it, babe. Don't be over there stressing. I'm okay over here. I'm batting these bitches off.
Thanks, God.
So thank you very much. We had a busy day today.
Shit, because I'm keeping way my woman look. I'm like, they over there. They tearing up. Somebody got some coochie. Shout out, biggest DJ from Philadelphia. And that was like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the baby, because drug use. How difficult is it to have a conversation like that with someone you see? Mm-hmm. By the time I got older, that just was, it stuck. Well, you know, this generation that's out now is totally different from my generation. My generation in the culture, we looked up to the hustlers. Mm-hmm. We looked up to somebody that was getting money, somebody that was doing better than you, because it just appeared that, damn, that's what I want to be. Mm-hmm. This generation, they made the shooter popular. The shooter in our generation was always the lowest form of a street. It was the who life didn't matter. Mm-hmm. Because he's a crash dummy. He's going to die out here anyway. Right. So, but this generation, I just read about the 17-year-old basketball player, straight A student. Am I wrong, Gilly? It used to be like the athletes, they got protected. Right. Nobody touched them. Hey, he good now. He gonna be what we, they're gonna be talking about the block. He from the block, he got out. They protected those guys. What happened? That's who killed my son. The 17? Yeah. The 17-year-old basketball player that just got shot 17 times? Yes. That's who killed my son. Really? Yes. What was that about? Well, it wasn't for my son. Your son happened to be there? Yes. Oh. Them blocks is beefing. They going through it. My son just so happened to pull up out there 5 minutes. They come to shoot the block up. My son's not from that block. He don't, you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. He just so happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I just read about the 17-year-old basketball player, straight A student. Am I wrong, Gilly? It used to be like the athletes, they got protected. Right. Nobody touched them. Hey, he good now. He gonna be what we, they're gonna be talking about the block. He from the block, he got out. They protected those guys. What happened? That's who killed my son. The 17? Yeah. The 17-year-old basketball player that just got shot 17 times? Yes. That's who killed my son. Really? Yes. What was that about? Well, it wasn't for my son. Your son happened to be there? Yes. Oh. Them blocks is beefing. They going through it. My son just so happened to pull up out there 5 minutes. They come to shoot the block up. My son's not from that block. He don't, you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. He just so happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I just read about the 17-year-old basketball shooter.
Yeah, man. That's Julie Kid on Club Shay, man, talking about his son and dude Joker. It's OTV. Noah Scurry, the basketball player. Flacco talked about it too. But yeah, man. Drake. He coming out at 25, man. A lot of people saying that his what's called trash. The album's trash, but it was decent to me. I ain't listened to the whole thing. I'm gonna listen to the rest of it, but yeah, man.
I'm gonna do something bad to you, sweetie. You're soft. You're as marshmallows.
There's loose cannon.
He was a buster. Stop playing with me. Stop acting like you really like that. You not like that. You just a fat boy that wear a black shirt and wear black glasses, acting like you a bodyguard. Boy, when I say I'm gonna do something bad to you, sweetie, you're soft. You're as marshmallows. You're a cushion on the couch. You're a pillow top mattress. You're all that condiments.
that you get from Chick-fil-A. You're just a soft buttercup. Stop acting like you tough. I pulled up on you, you gave me this fake address. You acted like you were just gonna be there. But bro, you're not like that. You're a liar. And I'm not supposed to. Stop speaking on me, Tyler.
So that was before. Now you run into big homie CC and you got your head down and then throwing up neighborhood. But you just said when you see him, you're gonna do something. That's why I be saying it would just be so much cap. Like nothing happened.
These niggas always harassing me. Always fucking this. But these niggas always harassing me. Always fucking this.
Folks are always dissing me. You just start throwing up neighborhood, whacking his phone. I don't know if Wack ever said nothing about him. Let me see. Did Wack say something about him? That's how you know, man. The internet, man. Oh my God. The internet just internet, bro. Like y'all asses cap. That's all I'm gonna say is cap, bro. Because cap, you clearly just saw it. This the same stuff you said about me. You're soft, you cupcake it. When I see you and bro, your head down. You like a prostitute. Your head is down. You thought what you doing? You said you gonna do something to the man when you saw that man this big. You look like ain't do nothing, man. Y'all ass be pump faking, bro.
These niggas always harassing me. Always fucking this.
And y'all ain't even peep. Folks got other real security. They in there with them pipes on them. Y'all wasn't gonna be able to do nothing. Nothing. If you thought you was gonna do something, I'm looking at who the people that surrounded y'all, that got y'all surrounded in that circle. Let me go on Wack page because Wack did just say some crazy stuff. Let me see what Wack said. Big homie CC, we ran into you today. You ran the first time. I stopped Loose Cannon from chasing you down. We catch you later, and you're a cop, and you cop a plea. We let you make it. Your homie literally left you. This why we can't respect you weirdos. Well. Y'all had a friendly conversation. That got too much power around, bro. I don't know. Folks did say, I don't know. You don't have to let law enforcement. I don't know, man. Y'all folks talking about law enforcement. Y'all got too much power on the internet. I don't know what's going on with this shit, man. I just be like, is this publicity stuff? I don't know. But I know that folks is, he's doing, he's working in a place of business, so he's gonna have to be or whatever. He a member, but I guess he part of law enforcement. I mean, he ain't gang banging or nothing. He come from something, but shit, I guess he, them as people or whatever. I don't know how to even take it. I just know that nothing happened. And Loose Cannon, you said you was gonna do something. That's all I really, was talking about. But y'all know what's going on. It's your boy King Yella. That's my name, right? King Yella. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Swags.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Version. That's a woman that Keith Cromer had. So these women are being used as these big drug kingpins proxies. So at that point in time, you were out of the investigation with Mr. Gatling. So Dion supposedly, Mr. Gatling asked for some work on credit after stiffing Fidel Suarez. And she says, yeah, I'll hook you up with this other girl. I wonder if they had, I put people's names out there. So at that point in time, you're out of an investigation with respect to Mr. Gatling. Other than us meeting for dinner, that's fair to say. They went to the varsity in Atlanta. That night, they went to the only varsity I know was in the downtown ATL. That's where King Von and Kim Dirk caught their case. Did you see Mr. Gatling in the courtroom today? Oh, Mr. Gatling was there. So this was a real court hearing. Mr. Dean Duffy Gatling was there. There came a time when Mr. Gatling was indicted. Did you become aware of that? Yes. And okay. And do you remember exactly when that was? April and May of 2014. Now, during this time you were working, what things were you doing as the cooperator and an informant? They would tell me to go and pick up money or go pick up drugs at a certain location. Then I would show up and I would say, okay, we want you to pick up. One example was $270,000. We're going to bring them back to drugs. So she would pose. I think she would say, I'm with the people who got to work. I'm going to get the $270,000 and bring back the drugs. Most cases, I always meet with all the agents. Every time I go, I'd end up not getting money. Strange. At any rate, you were assigned certain things to do. Among them were phone calls. Yes, sir. You were asked to make phone calls. Yes, sir. Mr. Cromer, did he give you a phone number and ask you to give it to another agent? He was at my house one morning on his way to work for a meeting. He went to meetings once a week, and he said, hey, take this number. I don't remember. And he said, give them this information. For what? I said. He said, don't ask me any questions. Don't worry about it. Just do this for me. And this information related to an individual by the name of Bootsy from Decatur, Georgia. Who is Bootsy from Decatur, Georgia? ATL, shouty. Get on the case. Who's Bootsy from Decatur, Georgia? They were on your trail, buddy. Or maybe you're in federal prison. I don't know. All jokes aside. Best of luck to Bootsy. Now, while you were talking with the agents of St. Louis about Mr. Gatling and Mr. Suarez, did Mr. Cromer give you any numbers or tell you to give these numbers to any of the agents? Bootsy, that's the only time this ever happened. Other than CS2 was to give me numbers, which had nothing to do with Cuff. So now she's working with CF2. She was to provide me with numbers for a gentleman named Diego, but this had nothing to do with Diego. So these two women they're in deep. They're working the Hispanics to use the.
And this is her. The government asked her, okay, and so you then began. What was the promise to you with respect to what your activity was by the agents or Mr. Cromer in particular? Well, when I met to discuss what would I stay on board, I asked, what would I have to do? And I was told just what I just advised you in regards to the Hispanics. And that's when I said, okay, and can I get, if I get something big, and Keith Cromer interrupted her and said, you'll get a lot of money. And I said, can I get Demetrius Flannery's time cut? This is page 57. This is in the court documents. And Keith Cromer interrupted her and said, you'll get a lot of money. And I said, can I get Demetrius Flannery's time cut? This is page 57. This is in the court documents. I'm going to post this link to this particular document, or you can pull it up on your own. It's the Franks hearing. And this is her. The government asked her, okay, and so you then began. What was the promise to you with
DEA's term? Now, Tammy Collins, in some circles, was known as the white girl. She appears to be a light-skinned African-American. She could pass for Hispanic. I don't know what her ethnic background is. She's like my father. She can go and pass for anything. Okay, now, Tammy, there's a lot. People, there's 100 and some pages. Shout out to my guy that sent me this. No, this has been available. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm not going to give it all to you here. Okay. Oh. So here's the time when she starts talking about being afraid. Okay, this is when she gets paid. So she gets an $80,000 check from Agent Cromer. She calls Jack Harvey, the original guy she knew who worked the DMF case and was retired, and says, I got an $80,000 check, and I don't know why. They said it's for everything you're doing. As far as you knew, you didn't know what it's for. She got an $80,000 check, didn't know what it's for. She called Jack Harvey and said, it's too much. Now the agent, who does that? Now the agents have been paying you periodically on a monthly basis. That's just for me making the phone calls and going back and forth with the Hispanics. Is there any agreement, you or anyone else, about your rent? You know, that's a rule for some of these African-American street guys in some of these cities. You tell them the Mexicans out of town, it's cool. Be careful out there. Any of my Hispanic brethren watching. I've heard those conversations. So they were paying her rent. So she got $55,000 from Terry White. And she got some more money from someone else. We're going to get into that part in a minute. She got, so they're paying her rent, $2,500. There's a lot I'm trying to sift through it for you here. Okay, during this period of time, you received some money for the Terry White case. It was $55,000. Sound about right? Yeah, that sounds about right. And that was for your assistance to Jack Harvey in the Terry White case. Well, that, and I also contributed to my jewelry that was seized at Terry White's house during the time they seized it. So she had some jewelry that was worth $34,000. Let her tell it. That she didn't get back, it was forfeited. So after Jack said, well, I can say anything. I said, I don't want you to because I don't trust anybody within the government. He said, no, you can trust this person. I'm going to make a few phone calls. Then I received a call to meet Keith Cromer's boss at Atlanta Bread Company. So they went to a restaurant. She met this agent she had been having an affair with his boss. Subsequently, you have been interviewed on a number of occasions. A number. Without going into any details, you had a number. So she said, this is just a document that has made it to surfaced into the public. There's many other documents. Has anyone bribed you or asked you not to testify or give information about Mr. Cromer, any information that? Now, important to remember, there's multiple criminal things going on here. The DEA's interest is probably less in, it doesn't seem to be in Mr. Flannery at this point. He's doing his time. They're trying to get Gatling, but they're trying to see how much malfeasance is going on in their office. It sounds like to me, remember Tammy said she didn't actually meet any Hispanics, maybe a little phone convo. Are these agents buying pussy with the DEA, right? So Tammy appears in the DEA offices and helps them work. Terry Bernard White, Keith Cromer is interested in procuring her, but JJ, he makes payments from you and I, the U.S. taxpayer, to her. She doesn't know what it's for. Well, you laid with, baby? Yeah, baby. From the, what you want to hear from? It's time to let it go off the leash. Podcast, Spotify podcast, Eon of the DC Blacks movement was a brother who I saw coming down. We call it coming down. He came down hard, precise. People to yelling. See, sometimes in the world of YouTube, you got motherfuckers who they come down, they try to disguise substance with yelling and hollering and theatrics. The one thing I liked about the brother was when he was coming down with his dissertation of what was going on, he came down and it wasn't no hollering, it wasn't no yelling, and I could tell that he had studied and he had researched, right? I didn't know where he was from, but I could tell that he had studied and researched and digested what it was he was talking about. Because you can hear it in the confidence in his voice. Our next guest, your brother Eon from the DC Blacks movement. Brother, what's the word with you?
Oh, man, first and foremost, man, I appreciate, man, hooking up with me. And then other than that, man, I'm just trying to, man, make some content of substance, man. This topic is a big topic, and it was an issue for me. So I'm glad we could link it, man. Politic and meet the minds on it. Whether we agree or we disagree, like you said.
We're saying about, bro, listen, this is the one thing. See, the YouTube streets, as I so affectionately call it, bro, it is a relatively new medium in terms of giving people who don't come from traditional journalistic backgrounds, right? Just because you didn't go to school for journalism don't mean that you can't come down on shit and eloquently and intelligently and factually about it. Because bro, when you come from the streets, we are street lawyers, right? And some of us are more articulate and more clear and more concise than people who are been trained traditionally as journalists. Right. So we are the new version. We the voice, bro. Don't nobody see a lot of motherfuckers who are traditional journalists. They're not from the hood. Right. They ain't from the set. They ain't from the game. So they don't really know the inside nuances of what happens, and so therefore they can't properly translate to a listening audience what the fuck is really going on. They be lost when it comes to this shit, right? So that's probably so important, right? Yeah. So when you tell me how you became, were you already familiar with the Cuffy, Big Meats, Tammy Collins situation prior to 50 Cent
putting it on blast for the world to see?
The answer to that is most definitely yes. But I don't think I was aware of it as far back as a lot of the brothers from St. Louis that was preaching it. But I got a close comrade by the name of Anton White. It was real cool with all the St. Louis guys. So I got cool with Bebe and Cuffy and these people later on. But that was after I'd already started speaking about it. And to be honest with you, you mentioned Cap Capone, right? Cam Capone, my bad, Cam Capone. No disrespect. I saw it on there, but I thought it was just some Blue Da Vinci type stuff, and I was trying to stay away from, their business. I thought it was just their business. I didn't realize that, it was a urban culture, subculture type of thing, that it was bigger than just them until I read it. And once I read it, I saw some inconsistencies in it, and I saw some things in it that, coming from a background like you just explained that many of us is doing this journalism on YouTube and these other venues, it's just not right. So, I was well aware of it. I got YouTube videos on my platform, the DC Blacks channel, that I was doing from last year. Okay. So, for sure, the time you publish your video don't lie.
Right, absolutely, bro. What city are you from? What state are you from, bro?
Washington, D.C., the nation's capital.
Oh, so you from the bricks for real.
Yeah.
So coming up in D.C., bro, what did Black Mafia family, what did that mean to D.C.? What did it mean to the D.C., Baltimore, Maryland type vibe? What did it mean to y'all? Were you aware of BMF when he was coming up?
Real quick, not to get all into my story because we on this, but I went to jail at 16 and got a life sentence in 1993. I was in prison as the BMF thing blew up to a pop culture type thing. But if you go back into Meech's story, and Meech and them was doing things in the 80s and this and that, if I went to jail in 93, they never had no stronghold in DC at that time. Now, I read their case and I realized that they were, I'm going to use the word accused of, or had allegations of doing some things in DC, and a BMF member even allegedly shot somebody in DC, right? But you got to go deep into that book that was written by the journalist that did the first book on Big Meech. She the only person that I saw that covered it. But overall, Washington, D.C., you may have a person that come from somewhere else to get involved in some things, but groups rarely come here and take over or have any type of thing that they do in Washington, D.C. But to answer your question, around 2005, 2006, their name was popping all over the prison system because I was meeting some of the guys that came in. So for me and my buddies that's from where I'm from, we learned of them in prison. And as some people say, DC guys in prison got a certain type of mentality. We don't really do a whole bunch of being groupies, so to speak. So my basic understanding of them just came from guys who had, hung with them, around with them in the streets, and then other than that, magazines and all type of things like that came up before the BMF series. I think they glamorized, their run and, what they did in the streets, and from, what they did in the streets at that time. I'm not here to snatch their plaques off the wall for that. And I might snatch Big Meech's plaque off the wall and call him Demetrius for this paperwork, but for the dudes that ran with them, they stuck to the code. And I ain't here to glamorize the code, but, you pick and choose what you do. If you pick and choose to go over there and play that sport, man, play by the rules of that sport. So for the BMF guys that didn't break the rules, salute to them. But this guy Demetrius, he a funny individual.
Got it. So as you start to do your research, right? Well, so as you start to research it, and like you said, you were on this subject last year, right? So when you started to do your independent research that was just based on your own, what was the first piece of information you came across? It really gave you some insight into what was going on with Cuffy specifically.
All right, Cuffy specifically. What threw me off was I didn't realize that it was so easy to find the paperwork, that Frank's motion ruling, the 33-page, 32-page document that everybody is so familiar with on the internet now. I looked at it on my phone while watching Cam Capone joint with Blue, right? So I said, it's just on the phone. It was so easy. And from the very first page, you can figure out who Tammy Combs is if you've been listening to any of the stuff that came out at that time. So me, I was laying in the bed. I shot up, was like, oh, this is official. But what really got me is that I've been the subject of an investigation before. Nothing big as them. But I do understand that when your name is in the affidavit and there's probable cause in the affidavit to get an arrest warrant or Title III warrant to tap your phone, I know that you can't subtract the name out of it. So if Eon, Dogface, and Demetrius Flannery was in the affidavit, Demetrius Flannery name should never disappear. So to answer your question without being, talking too much, the first thing that raised my eyebrows was the affidavit to tap Cuffy phone had Demetrius Flannery in it. Ain't no getting away from that, and that's where it started for me.
Got you. Well, you're surprised that it was that easy to find Big Meech's name Were you surprised it was that easy? It wasn't hard to find this shit. And I'm asking you that because there are so many people who are finding it so hard. They're trying to say it's such a convoluted process in order to find information that would give you any insight to what's going on here. People acting like this shit is rocket, jet fuel, propulsion, Pythagorean, A squared plus B squared equals C squared ass shit.
I agree, but you know, I got a lot of flack when I first just gave my first opinion, and I was so respectful. Even to this point, I haven't called him a rat. You know what I mean? People say whatever. I still haven't said he's a rat, he's a rat, he's a rat. Why haven't I said that? I didn't say that because where I come from, right? And how I was taught to find rats and look up law. It's the first thing that we look for where I'm from, and I believe I can speak for guys from Washington, D.C. that know the law. We look for Rule 35s and 5K1s. But not speaking of rats as in the term of snitches, but like rats as in a creature, they constantly evolve, don't they? They constantly get more sophisticated, don't they? So since the underworld or the street culture has used the analogy of the rat to represent the informant and the snitch, I believe that the real informant and the snitch now is evolving as well, because I never heard of an 11C1C. Now, just from the things that you told me to listen to and these other things that I'm reading, I have realized that the rats are evolving. And not only are the rats evolving, the big money, the big heavyweight blue whales of lawyers, they are guiding the rats into what to do to not have a 5K1 in the Rule 35. So now, a dude don't got a Rule 35. He ain't got a 5K1. And he still cooperate. If you read the paperwork with Tammy, not to get into Tammy and Demetrius yet from whatever your line of question is, but Tammy explained, if we didn't learn nothing, all of us, we ain't learned nothing from Tammy, we have learned that that there are paid DEA informants that give actionable information monthly. And the DEA has explained to these specific informants that, hey, if you go after this type of criminal and that type of criminal, you don't have to testify. Testifying on the stand is one of the things that keep even the wannabe rats from not being rats, because a person like Demetrius is going to say from the beginning, keep my name out of it. And I'm not saying that he really said that. I'm saying those type of guys that I believe he is, they won't get on the stand. They won't make a statement. They know better, but they so slick. They got so much sense than everybody else that I believe they was going to set up Suarez. Nobody in pop culture, hip-hop culture, urban culture was going to know. Every day Suarez would have been just another Mexican that got caught with a load, and we don't know how. But I technically believe that that's what they was doing. Nevertheless, Tammy, and what Tammy did, she's shown that you can tell. Not just tell. She didn't just tell. She provided actionable information. So she's cooperating. Cooperating is way more than telling. A person can say, yeah, he shot dude in the car. I'm going to testify against him. I'm going to get the reward money for the arrest and the conviction. That's a whole lot of work to do. If Tammy could just play both ends against the middle, talk to a guy like Demetrius, no, A, B, C, and D, these guys right here, big D boys, I can set them up both for all four of them Mexican nationals. When they get arrested, they're going to just be deported. Do you know how many people she probably did that to before we got around to Deion Gavin? So, like,
before we got around to Terry White.
Well, Terry White, you know what I mean? Terry White.
The first reportable, the first time we see her name in actual paperwork, right? Right. But I'm of the mindset that she was working before that, yeah? But
unpaid.
Well,
that's what I think.
But Terry White was unpaid, and Terry White was her consort. They were unpaid too, right?
So although she collected some money off of that too,
yeah, on the back end, but initially she didn't do it for pay. Right. She did it to just
out of spite, maybe.
Out of spite, of course, despite just out of spite, out of anger, out of frustration, according to her. Did you? So when you became aware of this whole story, did you go into Cuffy's life? Did you delve into it? Did you do some background research into Cuffy and who he was? I'm asking you that because we're gonna have a open air conversation. A lot of people who are meat supporters.
Hey, dog face, can I smoke on here?
You got how you business, bro?
Oh, all right.
Hey, how you been? Yeah. I'm an angry motherfucker.
Say no more, right? Wait, go back.
Right. So the whole thing is so let's start with what people are saying in defense of Meech, right?
Okay.
One of the things they say is elementary, but one of the things they say is, well, why would Big Meech tell on Cuffy? Who is Cuffy? Cuffy worked for Big Meech, blah, blah, blah.
I don't believe Cuffy worked for Big Meech. I don't want to interrupt the question.
Look, well, your assumption and your belief would be correct. Okay. Cuffy was a boss of all bosses himself, where he was from. He never worked for Big Meech. When the story is told that Cuffy embraced Meech after he came home from prison, when his brother Magic was already dealing with him, Cuffy came home and he showed Big Meech and T how to really move that bag. It is absolutely true that when Cuffy figured out what Meech had going on, they had a conversation. Meech told him how he's playing it. Cuffy's like, no, that ain't how you do that, my nigga. He said, matter of fact, what you got? You got that? Give it to me. In less than a week, he brought him like $1 million cash. And said, and that was a way of him showing him, let me follow what I'm saying, young blood. You know what I'm saying? Even though we about the same age, you really young blood when it comes to moving his weight. So let me show you how to do this shit. Boom, put a meal in his one time, one transaction, here go $1 million cash. So
you ain't had to run around, you ain't had to make yourself hot, you ain't had to be on
none of that. So that made Big Meech's ears go up. So it turned Big Meech into a student of Cuffy. Even though they were around the same age group, Big Meech was a student of Cuffy. You don't have what ended up as BMF, what we all thought it to be. You don't have that without Meech's relationship outside of Detroit. Because people always have to start in Detroit. When BMF left Detroit, it wasn't BMF for one. Number two, they were not brick slanging ass niggas like folklore has them to be. They didn't come out of Detroit the toughest, biggest, rawest gang of niggas, dope boys. That's not who they was.
You know what I mean? And the paperwork say that.
Yeah, that's not who they was. So Cuffy became a mentor to him, even though they were around the same age. But just because you're the same age as a motherfucker, don't mean you know that y'all have the same level of acquired knowledge. You can be 10 years younger than me and know more about a particular thing. Age is no measurement for knowledge, wisdom, maturity, or understanding. It is experience that really guides people, to an elevated plateau. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that, and I want to clear up misconceptions with you, brother, is that Cuffy worked for Meech, and Cuffy was Meech's dude boy, or he was his messenger boy, or he was his errand boy. That's not fucking true. It has never been true. It was never true. So there's a lot of misconception there's a lot of truth and falsehood. There's a lot of falsehood being mixed in with the truth, so as to complicate what really fucking happened here.
Before we get around to Terry White.
Well, Terry White, you know what I mean? Terry White.
The first reportable, the first time when we see her name in actual paperwork, right? Right. But I'm of the mindset that she was working before that. Yeah. But
unpaid.
Well,
that's
she was
what I think.
But Terry White was unpaid. And Terry White was her consort. They were unpaid too, right? So
although she collected some money off of that too,
yeah, on the back end. On the back end, but initially she didn't do it for pay. Right. She did it to just
out of spite, maybe.
Out of spite, of course, despite just out of spite, out of anger, out of frustration, according to her. When you became aware of this whole story, did you go into Cuffy's life? Did you delve into it? Did you do some background research into Cuffy and who he was? And I'm asking you that because we're gonna have a open air conversation. A lot of people who are Meech supporters.
Hey, dog face, can I smoke on here?
You got how your business, bro.
Oh, all right.
Hey, how you business? Yeah. I'm an ignorant motherfucker.
Say no more, bro. Right? Wait, go back.
Right. So the whole thing is, so let's start with what people are saying in defense of Meech, right? Okay. One of the things they say is elementary, but one of the things they say is, well, why would Big Meech tell on Cuffy? Who is Cuffy? Cuffy worked for Big Meech, blah, blah, blah.
I don't believe Cuffy worked for Big Meech. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt the question.
No, you would be your assumption and your belief would be correct. Okay. Cuffy was a boss of all bosses himself, where he was from. He never worked for Big Meech. When the story is told that Cuffy embraced Meech after he came home from prison, when his brother Magic was already dealing with him, Cuffy came home and he showed Big Meech and T how to really move that bag. It is absolutely true that when Cuffy figured out what Meech had going on and had the conversation, Meech told him how he was playing it. Cuffy was like, no, that ain't how you do that, my nigga. He said, matter of fact, what you got? You got that? Give it to me. In less than a week, he brought him like $1 million cash and said, and that was a way of him showing him, let me follow what I'm saying, young blood. You know what I'm saying? Even though we about the same age, you're really young blood when it comes to moving his weight. So let me show you how to do this shit. Boom. Put a meal in his one time, one transaction, here go $1 million cash. So
you ain't had to run around, you ain't had to make yourself hot, you ain't had to be on
none of that. So that made Big Meech's ears go up. So it turned Big Meech into a student of Cuffy. Even though they were around the same age group, Big Meech was a student of Cuffy. You don't have what we You don't have what ended up as BMF, what we all thought it to be. You don't have that without Meech's relationship outside of Detroit. Because people always have to start in Detroit. When BMF left Detroit, it wasn't BMF for one. Number two, they were not brick slanging ass niggas like folklore has them to be. They didn't come out of Detroit the toughest, biggest, rawest gang of niggas, dope boys. That's not who they was.
I mean, and the paperwork say that.
Yeah, that's not who they was. So Cuffy became a mentor to him, even though they were around the same age. But just because you're the same age as a motherfucker, don't mean you know that y'all have the same level of acquired knowledge. You can be 10 years younger than me and know more about a particular thing. Age is no measurement for knowledge, wisdom, maturity, or understanding. It is experience that really guides people, to an elevated plateau. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that, and I want to clear up misconceptions with you, brother, is that Cuffy worked for Meech. And Cuffy was Meech's dude boy, or he was his messenger boy, or he was his errand boy. That's not fucking true. It has never been true. It was never true. So there's a lot of misconception there's a lot of truth and falsehood. There's a lot of falsehood being mixed in with the truth so as to complicate what really fucking happened here. You hear me? So when you study Cuffy's background in relationship to this whole thing, what did you come up with?
Well, not to repeat nothing you said, because I agree with everything you said, and I don't know where your understanding of that come from, and that ain't what we're here to do. But my understanding it just come from other people that I already respect. Can we say that right there? Yeah. People that I already respect their opinion. People that it's definitely not going to introduce you to a Tammy. You get what I'm saying? Right. If they say that Bebe is cool, Cuffy is cool, Nate Williams is cool, St. Louis is cool, then they cool. All right. I ain't got to say a bunch of names on here, but that's how I became aware of Cuffy. Once those guys gave me the thumbs up, saying, nah, Eon, you real deal, they told me what to read. I went to read those things, and I did a YouTube video, and I guess, great minds think alike, and people like us are small percentages of the big percentages of other people. And Cuffy daughter and somebody else must have saw it, and they addressed it to Cuffy in like a day or two. He had my number and called me. So that's how it went for me. And I got a lot of the story from the horse's mouth, and then I doubled back and went to my older homie, so to speak. You know what I mean? And they said, yeah, I believe that. And then it set me off on a journey, reading thousands and thousands of pages of this whole debacle with Cuffy and Meech. I mean, it's better than BMF and Power put together if you just read it. Like you asked me a question about 50, so I'm going to save something until you go to that question.
We will get there. We will get there.
These transcripts and these court documents for Meech, Demetrius, I don't call him Big Meech no more, bro. From Demetrius and Cuffy, man, it's Power and BMF the series together ain't got
nothing on that. Yeah. So listen, if 50 Cent want to reignite his relationship with stars, all he got to do is present this motherfucking story told from Cuffy's point of view. And
I mean, I don't have no cat in the fight. You know what I'm saying? No skin in the fight. I wouldn't get $1 from it. I'm just telling you, you done read what I read, and what you told me to read, what you told me to check out today. I already had $100-some bill in Staples for some other stuff I was printing on it. I threw that in there to read that extra stuff. I'm gonna tell you something though, and I don't want to go too off. We can double back to it. I think Meech's been an informant for 20 years or more. I think he's been an informant since the early 2000s.
Tell me why you think that, brother.
I knew that was coming next. The reason why I think it is that he had too close of a relationship with Jack Harvey. And even after Tammy was supposedly not being, Jack Harvey wasn't her handler and her controlling agent, she still called him for advice when she got cracked. Keith Cromer was supposed to be the one handler. Why, when all this shit was going down and it was blowing up, who did she call for advice? Jack Harvey. When she got the $80,000 check and she didn't know why, before they got the criminal investigation and the professional office of responsibility investigation, she knew they was coming and said, oh my God, Jack, I got an $80,000 check. It's too much. Because she knew she was trying to tell on everybody. She'll say anything at any time, in my opinion. That's why. But I think Meech had too big of a relationship with Jack Harvey. I don't understand why Jack Harvey, after being retired, he is still caught up in BMF business. I believe that Meech, Tammy, and Jack Harvey had a sit down somewhere saying, hey, you might not do 20 years, you might not do 30 years, but you're going to do a few years. And if you work with us, something to happen. I have no proof on it. I'm going to shut up. I really don't talk like that, but I feel like that because he connected to Tammy, and Tammy goes all the way back to 2003 sometime with the feds, bro. You can't be wrapped up in that. And if he wasn't wrapped up with Tammy, guess what? I wouldn't have this opinion. I wouldn't be able to guess this. I wouldn't be able to think this. So person, oh, you know, you ain't got no facts. You ask me what I think. That's what I think.
Right. So listen, I've had some powerful conversations in the last month about this particular subject, right? And we have gone over a lot of different scenarios because every day we are learning some. This situation is more complex than just a simple he told Jack, Bill told on Tom and Tom told on Sally. This ain't that. This shit reads like a motherfucking Donald Goins novel. This is some Harlequin ass shit. This ain't no
with plot twist and everything.
This is Steven Steele's. This is some Quentin Tarantino shit that we got going on here. When you say that you believe that Meech was working long before, I agree with you, brother, because when you look at all the nuances in this situation, and when you look at how they worked their way into this situation with the Suarez guy, so and let me tell you why I think that. Just give you my thought process. So, Big Meech, you were locked up for the situation that took place with Wolf, Puffy's homeboy dying, the whole J-Lo in the club and Shine type thing, right? You locked up due to being investigated for that. While you're locked up, right, you come to Michigan. They take you out of Wayne County Jail because you are too familiar, you're too powerful, people know who you are. So they put you on an outpost so that you wouldn't have as much influence on just the guards and all that kind of shit, right? They put you in the St. Clair County Jail. This Fidel Suarez person. I'm going to tell you right now, Fidel Suarez is a motherfucking agent. Because this nigga is a ghost. He's the only motherfucker that.
Oh, Faith, can I stop you right there for 1 second?
Come on.
I agree with you, and I thought that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. But I asked Cuffy. Cuffy said he's solid. He said that thought ain't true. Now, I just want to throw that at you. I ain't said go ahead on.
Oh, okay, I hear you. Boy,
I said what you said, no, but go ahead. I want to hear you.
All right, listen. So Michigan, you've been in the federal system. Michigan, on the state level, has some of the toughest drug laws.
You can get life. You can get death.
Bro, I grew up in a time where a 650 conspiracy could get you a natural life bit on the state level under Governor John England. Michigan don't be playing that shit. And that's why on the Fed level or on the state level, and especially the Fed level, one of the things that motherfuckers who are not from Michigan talk about snitching. They say the motherfuckers in Detroit and Michigan, they'll tell on some shit. Right? Now, I'm telling you what they say. You ain't got to fucking agree or don't agree. I'm telling you. You know why? Because the drug laws here, there's no justification, but the drug laws in Michigan were the strongest drug laws in the country. They even surpassed what the feds would do to you if they caught you. In Michigan, they'll tear your ass up. So motherfuckers in Michigan, when they get caught up, motherfuckers was willing to have an understanding and willing to work something out because you know, nigga, if I get caught with, I'm finna get 30 years. Nigga, if I get caught with this shit on the niggas in Michigan would rather have a Fed case than a state case because the state was ghosting niggas, bro. Basketball numbers, bro. I just seen niggas get caught with half a brick and get 40 to 80. First offense. That's how strong Michigan was. And a 650 conspiracy, not get caught with it. When they add up your transactions, and if that shit comes to 650 grams, 650 grams of not crack, of powdered cocaine.
Oh, I see why you say you'd rather go to the feds.
Yeah, nigga, because the feds for a half a brick, I'll see you in a couple of years.
Yeah, powder.
Yeah, powder, not crack, but I'll see you in a couple of years. Right? So the big, bro, I know personally the biggest, I know something really moving. Bro, listen, give me a fed. They was hoping the feds pick their case up. This is how we say it. Yeah?
Nah, now that you just explained that to me, somebody else tried to explain it to me, but they ain't give me the whole thing. Like you said, hey, E, 650 period, the transaction. I was like, oh, so it could have been an 8 here, 62 there, onion there. If it's 650, your ass grand.
Your ass, it's where it used to be under John English administration.
Well, no, that's all I'm talking about. I ain't
absolutely.
Schooling me to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't disagree with you that he was working because all the
that was my thought, bro. How do he walk away from 3? He got at least 3 of these. Now I'm not going against
Suarez, right?
Huh?
Thomas Suarez, right?
Right. I ain't for anybody listening, I'm not saying what Cucky said is not true. I'm just talking with you, Dogface, saying that what you said, I thought, how do you walk away from 3 of these joints? Now, he did time at least twice while waiting to fight the case, but bro, what is he? A Houdini? He a magician? How?
And
like, how did he walk away from this case?
You know why you saying that? Right? See, because we're looking at this through the lens of black men in America, right?
Yeah.
We know that the Mexican drug cartel, and this is something else I wanted to talk to you about, E, because you've been to the federal system, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at this as being uber suspicious because as black men in America, we know ain't no motherfucking such thing as having no luck like that. If you get popped 3 times with multiple kilograms of cocaine, nigga, they gonna lie on you. You never gonna, nigga, I know niggas, they lied on for less. You get popped 3 times in 3 different states.
And you can't research him. He like the dude with the Oliver North case and Ricky Ross and them. He like that dude. You can't research the dude. Why not?
Yeah, the Iran Contras jump off. I mean the Contra Sandinistas. Yeah, the motherfucker with free Ricky Ross. We don't know what's
look him up. What's his name? Diablo, whatever his name was. You can't even look him up.
So listen. So in my reach, so let me jump off on the side track first. So listen, I never been to the Fed joint. I did 17 straight calendars in the state joint, right?
Oh, that's what I did in the Fed.
Okay, so listen. So my Fed partners is like, listen, bro. Right now, it's really on the floor right now because, like, even in the criminal underworld that is controlled by black people from coast to coast, especially people coming out of the West, the Californias, the Seattles, the Vegases, and shit like that. We are hearing, right? We are hearing now that the cartels all over the country, but you really see the cartel represented in the southern Floridas and the southern Texas and the southern California. So we are learning that when it comes to the snitch protocol, the cartel, they don't operate with the same level of integrity that black people, that traditional gangster shit as we know it operate. The cartel, they have a policy in which it is not against law, their law,
their code,
to give up a nigga in the event that they get popped. So we, as black people, we on some shit. You tell on anything, you bold. We don't give a fuck what it is. You tell on the police, you a rat. Terrence Gangster Williams, right? One of the things that he did in Yazoo City is that he told on what was going on with the prison guards, how the prison guards was moving work and phones and shit for inmates. That's one of the things that Terrence Gangster Williams gave up in order to acquire his freedom, right? That's an absolute fact, right? So that's a side note. But we are learning because Black America, if you in the streets in Black America, one of the highest forms of being plugged in for us. It ain't the mafia. It's the cartel. Niggas be looking for cartel plugs, bro. Unfettered.
I agree with that.
Come on. They be looking for cartel. Nigga, I'm with the cartel. I'm with the cartel. But what you niggas don't know, as those motherfucking Nicaraguans, those genuine Mexican motherfuckers, them motherfucking Colombians, Venezuelans, right? We think that we're the same. We just speak different languages because we black, they black. They ain't looking at us like that. The Mexicans, the Southern California Mexicans are a prime example of motherfuckers who hate niggas. And since they have a day one relationship with the cartel coming out of Mexico at least, them motherfuckers would tail on niggas fast. And when you look at El Chapo's rise to fame, rise to control, El Chapo was one of the biggest motherfucking rats that the world has ever fucking seen. El Chapo, he murdered and ratted his way. Listen, I didn't even call him no rat, right? A rat is a motherfucker who playing in the street and then when they get caught up, they turn bold. El Chapo had an understanding with the United States government.
And the Mexican government.
And the Mexican government. They worked in a concert. For these niggas who don't know, El Chapo got to where he was because he killed and ratted his way to the top of the cartel. That's what motherfuckers don't know. Motherfuckers are glorifying El Chapo. They're glorifying the Mexican drug cartels as if they're the best thing.
The other guy that he had his son kidnapped and turned over to the people is negotiating right now, El Mayo.
Yeah.
Negotiating right now with the U.S. government.
Yeah, so these motherfuckers, see, listen, the Mexican them niggas, they beyond, they're agents of the government. So the Mexican cartel, right? They give a motherfucker up fast. That's the part of their policy.
The territories that the Mexicans jam from, as we say in D.C., but let's just say that they run their business from, they're called plazas. At least they used to be called plazas. Plazas are given to the boss of whatever cartel by who? The federal drug zone and the Mexican government. If you don't play and pay into their rules, you get removed from the plaza. One of the things that Chapo did that got him all jammed up was say he wasn't gonna follow those.
Wasn't gonna follow the rules. That's not one of the things.
Well, okay. I ain't want to act like I'm.
That's one of them. And they told him, don't take your bitch ass over to Europe with that motherfucking.
Don't be playing.
Don't take your spick ass over to set that shit up in Europe. You ain't running no motherfucking refineries over in Europe. That's a whole different level of
Caucasian.
Yes. For sure. That's what it is, right? So
yeah.
Suarez, bro, you can't, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Right?
I'm with you on that, though. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, in order for you to snake your way out of that shit, you have to have some assistance from somewhere. The level of assistance, I don't fucking know. But looking at his situation through the eyes of a black man in America, there's no way me and you can get caught with 3 different times loads of cocaine. How we beating it? Nigga, the fact that you own the trucking company, you own the trucking company. You are in one of your trucks, and inside your truck, you got 1,000 bricks. Nigga, the only thing gonna beat you to prison is the headlights on the bus you riding in, nigga. You ain't never gonna, they don't give a fuck. Listen, if you do get back, you're gonna do 8, 9, 10 years, fight that shit on appeal. If you do get back.
You know what else is questionable in this whole thing, since we on this part of the topic,
Hey man.
Why is Suarez never spoken about in these hundreds of fucking pages of documents? You understand? Like, they only talk about that one call, getting them, arresting them, him filing motions. With his lawyer ain't filed that.
Not one motion.
No, like I ain't trying to go against Cuff or whatever they got. It's my own legal mind.
Hold on, bro.
Where is this legal motion?
Hey, listen, brother. This is not us having a conversation about how this looks. They call it a prima facie case, right? On the surface of this shit, don't look right to me, right? like you just said, where the fuck is his?
Where's his complaint? Where's his, like, Cuff pleaded out with no indictment? And that's another thing I do want to say right now while we're on this platform.
Right.
For all the people that keep saying that they jailhouse lawyers, YouTube lawyers, and that the case got dismissed because she was sleeping. The case did not get dismissed.
It did not.
Cuff pleaded guilty to the complaint without indictment, 120 months for the drug trafficking, 17 months for that other stuff that y'all want to talk about with the guns and murders and killings.
Right.
So let's make that clear, dog, because everybody keep talking about this case is dismissed. If this case was dismissed, he wouldn't have had a 120 for it, which is 10 years for you people who don't know.
Right. Absolutely. And we're going to touch on all that. So when you look at Big Meech, right? So let me just go jump right in the heart of this shit, right? So Cuffy and his legal team thought it suspicious. Well, let's challenge all this shit, bro. Let's start from the top to the bottom, because what do we got to lose? Because if I get found guilty of this shit, I'm through, right? So let's start from the top to the bottom. First of all, let's challenge this motherfucker, the warrant that they got to secure the motherfucking electronic screens. Right. Let's challenge this shit first, right? He filed a motion for a Franks hearing, right? He was granted the motion, right? Inside of the Franks hearing, right, it is discovered, because now they have to produce evidence to justify what they used to get a judge to grant them permission to engage in electronic surveillance on Dion Cuffy Gatlin. And so I'm going to say what I got to say, and then you come down on it. So during the hearing, so Cuffy knew. He knew who he thought it was, because you know who you're dealing with. What I'm being charged with, I don't have to, you ain't got to tell me that is Johnny Joe, because when I get bagged for some shit, I know who knew about this shit. I know who the players were, because I'm playing with them. So when they all come down, and I'm like, damn, who the fuck, what they say I did hit with me and him? I'm looking for all common denominators of who knew this shit. When you've been locked up, folks, when you get bagged, bro, you looking for all common denominators about this shit. Who did? Oh, yeah. We be blaming niggas for shit, and they don't even be them, right? But if you involved with this shit, and if you know about it, and till you prove you ain't, you are. You hear me? And where I come from, we gonna get your ass together, and you better hope I come to the realization that it ain't this nigga, right? So listen, when they read the affidavit, and Tammy Conway's affidavit, because they wanted to know, where does the evidence come from that you are using to present to me, to convince me to grant you authority or authorization to do a wiretap, right? So they presented an affidavit. And in this affidavit, it said, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting directly, right? And it says that Tammy Collins said, she testified in this affidavit, she said that Demetrius Flannery orchestrated, arranged a drug deal through her, using her as his proxy, between Fidel Suarez and Dion Cuffy Gatlin. When that is said in court, Cuffy knows for an absolute fact, okay. Now it's said, because we know in the feds, they had discovery for a motherfucker. I know motherfuckers who fight, especially when there's CIs in it, they don't give all the discovery to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? They be hiding and playing games with discovery, especially in the feds. They play whole games. You know what I'm saying? They don't give you shit that in normal circumstances you're supposed to get, and you can't really fight your case without this shit, because they ain't giving it to you so you can step. That's when you got CIs in the mix. So, as a result of finding this out, that they're doing this hearing, Cuffy says that his attorney, and he has proved it to me, they sent Meech certified mail saying, hey, hello, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but your name has been mentioned in official court documents wherein which this lady is saying that you used her as your proxy to set up this drug deal between me and the Mexican drug cartel plug for the purposes of getting us fucking knocked off. Right? after the hearing, right? So now that Tammy knows she's exposed because they know it's her, right? When the U.S. attorney starts to file documents, they're filing documents without her name being redacted. So now they know for a fact by name she's mentioned who she's the CI. When she goes to meet Big Meech, she doesn't get a chance to see him because he's in Louisiana. But she has an opportunity to talk to him on the phone. And on the phone, he tells her, get my name out that shit. I don't want my name in that shit. I don't want my name coming up in none of that shit. Clear my name up, right? So now she's all in a frenzy because for one, she's outed. Everybody knows who she is. She starts to experience harassment, phone calls. They know who her daughter is. They know where she is, where she works at. All this shit. She's a matter of public record right now. Big Meech. She didn't tell Big Meech what had took place in that hearing because she hadn't had the opportunity to see him yet. When the first phone call that they had, Big Meech, it told her, get my name out that shit. How in the fuck do you know? You know because you already got the letter from Cuffy's attorney saying, are you aware that your name are in these documents saying that you bold and you told on me, nigga? Fuck all the flowery speech. Nigga, you hot. You told on me. Do you know this bitch? Because she said it. I don't have nothing saying you said it, but they saying she said that you did all this shit. What's up with this? Big Meech never responds to that. Under what circumstances, do you contact me and I'm in prison and me and you my man. We didn't got it together. And you tell me, hey, dog, this bitch out here to put your name in some dirty work, saying that you orchestrated this shit to get me knocked off with the, and I don't respond to you. When I don't respond to you, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking you ain't with me. At the least.
People are acting like that they don't understand what that silence on Big Meech's end of that phone, metaphorically speaking, meant. Run with your play, bro.
One thing that I've been thinking about, I ain't want to cut you off, but we all, myself included, been saying, Meech said he don't want his name in it. But as I read it over and over again, trying to catch things I didn't catch the first time, I think we all only believe that because Tammy said that. Mm-hmm. And also, there are two affidavits. There's a signed affidavit and there's an unsigned affidavit, okay? Unsigned affidavit.
Is the unsigned, hey, pardon me, brother. I'm a law library ass nigga. Unsigned, unfiled affidavit is not an affidavit, bro. It's not. Unsigned, motherfucking notarized, and unfiled in the court of law piece of paper, right? See, because let me get this straight. See, you have affidavit forms, right? You have forms that are like court documents, but then you can write out an affidavit by hand, sign it, have it notarized, and then you submit it. An unsigned piece of paper that has not been notarized, nor has it been submitted into evidence. Even though they recall it an affidavit, I'm telling you, the court does not recognize an unsigned piece of paper as an affidavit. So I want to correct people when they're saying two affidavits, right? Because she never gave it. She gave it to Cuffy's people. She sent it around, but she never filed it in the court of law. So therefore, it's not stamped, it ain't sealed, it ain't notarized, and she certainly did not submit it. Because if she hadn't submitted it, then what you would have on file is two affidavits that contradict each other. And in the second affidavit, right? In the second affidavit, all she did was say, listen, it became a matter of discovery, right? Oh, it backdoored its way into discovery because she had sent it to so many people, right? She contacted Cuffy's original legal team, gave it to them. She sent it to friends and family. She faxed it. She emailed it. She texted that motherfucker to people. So as a result of that, when the courts became aware of it, it became a matter of discovery because it existed. But it's not. It is not a legal binding document that Cuffy's legal team could have used to challenge the first affidavit. So it's not an affidavit. If it's not filed and not registered and it is not entered into evidence, it's just a piece of paper. If she would have filed the E, then what Cuffy could have done, as soon as you file that, bitch, you funky bitch, as soon as you file that paper with the courts, then Cuffy's legal team, they would have passed out with joy, bro. Because your first affidavit is the affidavit that they use to present to the judge in order to convince the judge to give them authorization to do a wiretap, to do electronic surveillance on you. And so the crimes that Cuffy eventually got picked up on or charged with came as a result of things they learned, we're gonna call it poisonous fruit, due to this wiretapping. They learned different shit about what Cuffy had going on this same wiretap.
And don't forget, she's the one that gave him the target phone.
Right. And little do people know is how she got discovered is two things. One, Cuffy's legal team, his wife, hired a private investigator. But that's not what, that's because the feds weren't trying to hear that, what they came up with. When she turned in her electronic devices, this stupid ass bitch, she erased the videos and pictures of her sucking and fucking Keith Cromer in the hotels across the goddamn South. But when the feds, when the IT team from the feds go to breaking down the devices, they ain't looking at no goddamn picture log. They going into the hardware. We all know that you can't erase a motherfucking thing. That's why niggas don't want to talk on no iPhones and niggas be on their BlackBerry chip, right? They don't want to talk on no iPhone, Android, you can't erase that shit. You know? So my thing to you is this. If she would have filed that, the reason why she didn't file the E, because let's look at this. What people are saying, when she filed, she took it back, her statement. She retracted her statement. She said Big Meech didn't do it. But it wasn't, the original affidavit did not just say that Demetrius Flannery orchestrated and arranged this drug deal from inside the federal penitentiary. The original affidavit had other information on it too, not just Meech's name. The second affidavit, as people keep on inappropriately and erroneously calling it, all she took out was Big Meech's name and left everything else.
Hold on. I gotta. What the hell's wrong with that? Oh, that's a little bit. Hold on, I gotta push back a little bit.
Come on.
It was categorically different. The second one that they mentioned in the evidentiary, and I got the transcripts from that. I'll go over that later. That's the 271 page jump.
Right.
But what is categorically different in the other affidavit they talking about that is not sworn or not signed, she alleges that Cromer was jealous of Demetrius and that Cromer is the one that interjected Gatlin, which is Cuffy, into this whole conspiracy. That's the part that's not used. But further down in it is where she alleges that Meech set it all up. That's not in the first one. And the first one is just the alert, which everybody keeps saying that Keith Cromer was in the car. He wasn't in the car. He was returning from a trip to South Carolina with his family, and they did text messages and three-way calls, only with Cuffy, but not with Suarez. So that's when she ran around and notified his legal team, but you already mentioned that. I ain't getting to that. I'm just saying that was the part that was categorically different.
Got you. Understood.
Because Keith Cromer put Meech in it, Demetrius in it, based on jealousy because of their inappropriate relationship, then it will actually start the process of exposing the relationship. But that's just my thought about it. But that's a part of that affidavit that people
makes perfect
about
sense.
That they don't mention.
Makes perfect sense, and that's good. That's good work right there.
Real talk.
That's good work right there. So, why do you think led to her deciding to want to come down with another affidavit? What do you think?
Well, first of all, me and you both have been through the legal process. She is not an affiant, if I'm saying that correctly. The affiant, the person who put together the affidavit, was a St. Louis DEA agent. If I ain't mistaken, his name was Hong or Tom, but don't quote me on that. He debriefed her on August 6, 2012, the day after the Suarez Cuffy alleged transaction on the phone and this and this and that. She had to give, in my opinion, conflicting debriefings between two different agents that have these, and then they all go over it and then sign the affidavit that was presented to tap his phone. Now, this had to occur at a later date for another part of the investigation. Why does Eon say that? Because the phone was already tapped. If the phone was already tapped on August 5th, that means that she then debriefed multiple times, and there are multiple affidavits, some that are used and some that are not used.
Exactly.
That's what I think.
Right.
Because the phone had to be tapped on August 5th in order for them to have a record of her, Chroma, and Cuffy on the phone together.
Got you. Why do you think that she never filed that affidavit? The second,
I mean, first and foremost, it's not her job to file the affidavit. It's the prosecuting attorney, after the agents bring it to him, to take it to the judge to get the judge to sign it. I don't believe that affidavit is signed because I think they know it was bullshit in it. I don't believe that they believe that Keith Chroma was jealous. And if they did believe he was jealous, then they would have to investigate what the fuck was he jealous about.
Right.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, I got you. So listen, let me come down with you on this right here. So you file, you think to yourself. See, this is Tammy Collins thinking. You think to yourself after you start being harassed, after it comes out in open court that you said Big Meech did X, Y, and Z, right? Right. This is what she said in the affidavit that was filed in their quest to get authorization from a judge to do the electronic surveillance.
Yeah, but I think a lot of things is getting mixed up. I don't think people understand that she testified in an evidentiary hearing, and those statements were used in that 32-page document. So some of these things she didn't say under debriefing, some of these things she said during the evidentiary hearing, which occurred on such and such a date. I got the whole evidentiary hearing right here, but on December 13th, 2016, you get it?
Right.
This is nearly 4 years after the events.
Right.
So if she testified these things that everybody's going over on the internet now, they're not taking into account the date on the file or the document. The date of the file of the document is 2013-16. These things are said many years later. She's still telling these things that she's explaining. Like, I think at this point in time, right now, today, 2025, she ain't covering up from nobody. Whatever her story is now is the story that she's going with. But she testified 2 different ways in this one evidentiary hearing. At one point in time, Meech ain't had nothing to do with it. At another point in time, she's saying Meech had something to do with it. So what do we believe? I really don't believe nothing that she say other than what she told the people that she wasn't written on the paper.
That paper, though, was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, because for real, the only one that we really get is up for discussion is the one that got the wiretap. That is the one that had Meech's name in it, Suarez's name in it, and Cuff name in it.
Right.
Who's the only names that's mentioned in that document.
Right. So it is said, even in the court document, that she was aggravated and agitated and scared for her life once it became known, once it was discovered that she was, in fact, a CS1. So she started to work her move. Big Meech was displeased because his name came up in documents, official documents. And Big Meech gave her instructions to get his name, clear his name.
But do we believe that?
Do we believe that Big Meech told her that?
Yeah, and why do we believe it? And I'm just being devil's advocate right now for some of the conversation I had. Why do we believe Meech said that?
Because he working his angle.
No, not why. I said, why do we believe? Where's the proof that he said it? Let me say it that way.
There is no proof that he said it outside of her saying it.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead now.
Yeah, there is no proof. So this is her story. So now we in what we call a convoluted place, because now we have to examine and weigh the truthfulness of each component of everything that she said. We know that she was motivated by getting Big Meats out of jail. We know that because we know that when Keith Cromer went to her per Jack Harvey's instructions to introduce himself as Jack Harvey's successor, and he explained to her that they would like her to keep on working. And she asked, well, what do I have to do? What would I have to do? What's my new marching orders?
Right.
And he told her, well, we're going to switch your focus to Mexican cartel, Hispanics, blah, blah, blah. And if you're feeling like you're a little nervous, you don't have to be, right? Because this is in 2009, they had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because
well early.
Well, right. This is before the action even kicked in with the Cuffy and Suarez thing, right?
How could Demetrius not know that this was going on?
That's a good motherfucking question.
Let me ask you another question, and it's not really for you it's a question just for out there, but it's me and you kicking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Demetrius and them boys come to town, they start doing their thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's my belief that you automatically figure out who someone else is in town that's doing their thing.
In a series, it showed that. If we're gonna use this, if we're gonna use the series it showed when he moved to Atlanta, it wasn't easy. It was pushback. Like, who the fuck is these Detroit niggas? And I know for a fact that Atlanta niggas are territorial. It ain't just no you move down there and start taking over to Atlanta, my nigga. Think about what time he moved down there. It was the niggas down there is some country killing ass niggas.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't no easy. And then you're not just competing with Atlanta niggas, but don't forget, you dealing with the blowback from the Hurricane Katrina transplants in New Orleans.
And Miami, boy.
And Miami.
Now, I say that to say that when he do his intel, he know who Terry White is. I'm from Washington, D.C. I know who Terry White is. Once Terry White is popped and her name is implicated in it, how can you not know he one of the biggest names in town at the time? You gonna tell me he ain't know nothing about Terry? He ain't know nothing about her connection to him? I mean, Blue was living with her. She bought Blue motorcycles and shit. You don't know nothing about her connection with Terry. And now that I'm aware of who Terry is, it's all in the Atlanta media. They covered it. There's no way for him not to know about Terry and what happened to him. One of your biggest competitors, let's use Alpo and Rafe Webman. When Rafe Webman was taken out of the picture, Alpo knew it when he was here. He knew that there was a vacuum. You telling me Demetrius didn't know that there was some type of vacuum when Terry was taken out of the picture and how he was taken out of the picture? I want to challenge the thought that he didn't know all this. She just some secret person that walked into his life. I don't believe it. Personally. I mean, and now all of a sudden it's common knowledge that she participated in the investigation and the takedown of Terry White. Nah, man, I can't go for you. Don't know that. So now I'm like, if you didn't know it, I believe you know it. So you knew that she was at least an informant, and that's who you was dealing with. Now, is this a case? And I'm just being devil's advocate again. Is this a case of, you know how the guys say, "Oh man, that person ain't telling on me." So you think you Demetrius? And this is just a whole nother thought. Do you think that you so big that she won't turn around and bite you or get you caught up? Because even if he didn't know about all this shit, now that's just giving too much of a benefit of the doubt at this point in time. Just like that little announcement he made about I never told, never fold, death before dishonor. What the fuck do that mean without an explanation behind it? But still come to my welcome home parade.
And listen, so here's why I have a problem with people who are just blindly following behind what Big Meech didn't say, because Big Meech up until that point ain't said a motherfucking thing. Nothing, right? So under what circumstances do real niggas start offering up excuses for motherfuckers who ain't offering an excuse for his motherfucking self? That is strangest, most weirdest, most groupiest behavior that I would be ashamed to start speaking up. Listen, if we coming up together, I'm gonna help you fight, but motherfucker, you gonna throw a punch your motherfucking self.
Got to.
You gonna throw a punch yourself. Your mother, before I ever do nothing, I'm gonna look and see. If I see, nigga, we sliding, you gonna shoot first, nigga. If a nigga punch you in your face and take your chain, we gonna go get it back. But you gonna do the first shoot, the first blow, the first stab, nigga. Cause it's your shit that's it's you.
It's in jeopardy, right?
It's general. You tuned into the Best Dogface TV podcast. I am talking to the brother E. He is DC Blacks. Got a whole motherfucking network over there, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's no problem, brother. Good brother. So let me just say this. In your opinion, and I want to have a part 2 of this discussion with you if we can, right?
Yeah, especially after I read this 271-page document. That's the entire evidentiary here.
Right. I want to have a part 2 of this, right? Because we know people have niggas got low attention spans. We know how niggas operate. Do you believe that Big Meech, and I'm gonna ask you this question, I'm gonna let you take the floor, and then we're gonna schedule a part 2. Can we do a part 2 tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay, I got you. Do you believe in your experience, based on what you know and what you've been through, based on the case law you study, based on your own personal situation, based on what you've seen from the streets of the penitentiary, do you believe that Big Meech hands are clean in this situation?
Nah, I say absolutely no in that situation. What he did and what exactly did he do? That ain't all of it, but clean, impossible. He connected Tammy to Cuffy and Tammy to Suarez. That makes him a part of it. If he was in the mob, they'd have whacked him like Sonny Black.
If he was in the mob,
it wouldn't even be this discussion that we have. It would have been like, who connected him with Tammy? He connected with Tammy.
That's him.
But Tammy, Suarez, and him got to go.
Say that again. Because listen, have you niggas not been watching all? We know that niggas watch gangster movies. We know that. Right? Ain't no real gangsters got no. See, listen, BMF niggas got a problem with me. Right? I'm gonna tell you something though. For all you motherfuckers in BMF land, I ain't DJ Academics. You gotta bring some ass to get some ass.
That's what they say.
That's number 1. Number 2, this conversation, y'all in BMF business. We in BMF business, nigga, because you niggas ain't handling your own business. We ain't supposed to be have this discussion out loud because the members of BMF supposed to be all over this shit. The general public ain't supposed to have to deal with y'all, the inner workings of what the fuck y'all got going on. So because y'all refuse to handle y'all business and get in front of this shit, y'all left it up to the YouTube streets from DC to LA to Detroit to Miami to New Orleans to Atlanta to pontificate on this shit. Part 2 coming. DC Blacks, salute. We come back tomorrow, same time, same place. Salute. Yeah. Peace. Tell us what happened in Frank's hearing that really alerted you that Big Meech had a hand in this. What happened?
Well, CS1, Tammy Collins testified that she became a government informant to give the Meeches Slinger a time cut. And we said, whoa, you serious? So then she further testified that he was aware of the deal. Special Agent Keith Cromer testified that Flannery was aware of the deal. Flannery just wanted to make sure that his name wasn't in any court documents.
So that's some typical rat shit. I'm a rat and tell you everything you need to know. Just don't put me on blast.
Now, man, listen, man, this shit's simple, man. This shit ain't that complicated, man. This nigga called me in 2013, a nigga called me. Yo, bro, what up? Yo, check this out. I got some good people, man. Yo, I got to get off this joint. Holler at Tammy. Let's get it.
Right. And so that's how it started. So
that's how it started, man.
When you were, I talked to Blue earlier, and Blue said that when you came back in the day, when you came down, he gave you access to the Bentley, I believe it was. He said that when you were moving around, that you were moving around in part with Tammy in the attempt to kind of like sell the story. What was your relationship with Tammy as it relates to the BMF story and the life rights of Meech? What I was trying to do with that?
He introduced me to Tammy around 2009. My job was to procure a movie script. And so that's what we were working on. I told her that she needed to get his life rights, and that I would get us a deal, which me and Louis Burrell did. Louis Burrell is an Oakland nigga who was MC Hammer's big brother.
Got you.
My nigga, we go way back. I fucked around with him on the music tip years and years ago. Good nigga, got Hollywood in the headlock. And so me and Tammy have been taking meetings in LA for years, starting back in 2009. So we had nothing to do with any drugs or anything. It was perfectly legal. As a matter of fact, all of this documented in the case, in the paperwork.
Got you.
So let's get back to Blue in the blue Bentley Coupe.
Okay.
So when I come to town, I run into the homie, Lil Blue. I grab the car, and so I'm moving around. But before that, the nigga Meat sent another Mexican at me that was a government informant, confidential source. I didn't know that the nigga was bad, but when I meet him, he rubbed me the wrong way. You feel me?
Right.
And so I bag up both of them. But come 2018, when we get the discovery, I find out that he was an agent, and that a confidential source had introduced us to. Who introduced me to him? Nobody, nothing other than Big Meech. Nothing came out of that because he rubbed me the wrong way. He got to talking about who caused this, man. Is it paid for? So it just rubbed me the wrong way. Right. I didn't think he was a police or anything. I didn't think he was a police, but he was just weird. You feel me?
Right. That's weird.
Fast forward to 2018.
Got you.
Fast forward to 2018. That's in the DEA 6 reports that a confidential source introduced me to that confidential source. Who was the confidential source?
It can only be one person. The person who introduced you to him, and you know who introduced you to him.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Cuffy. Why do you think, and this is an obvious question, and it may be a slow question for me to ask you, but I have to ask you nevertheless. It's part of my due diligence process, right? Why do you think that it is so hard for people who understand that these type of things happen every day inside the game? Why do you think they're having such a hard time grasping or understanding or accepting the fact that Big Meech didn't want to do that motherfucking 30 years?
Listen, man, you have to understand this generation. You have to understand this generation. Most of these niggas, they got a mentality. He didn't tell on me. You feel me? You got niggas running around in every city now. This generation here running around with rats because they got a bag. You know, you feel me? I've lost 30-year partners. Some Detroit niggas, I ain't gonna say their name, you understand, who told me, yo, man, the homie was, Cuff, man, the homie was trying to get the Mexican. He wasn't aiming at you. I'm like, nigga, what? You telling me that the homie was trying to tell on the Mexican, and that's cool? So you're dealing with a different generation, homie.
Yeah, I get you. So let's stay on this Mexican angle for a second, because one of the hot topics right now, and this is something that you may be able to chime in on or elaborate on. One of the hot topics that's going on now in the whole YouTube space and YouTube streets is that specifically the Southern California Mexicans, for example, who are connected to the cartels across that border, that they don't have no problem operating as the long hand for the DEA and FBI and other government agencies, and they don't have the same hangups when it comes to telling on black people. So in short, they saying these Mexicans in South LA, they hate niggas and they set niggas up, and it's not against their own constitution to tell on niggas and give niggas up as long as they giving their own up. Do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything about that?
Well, I've heard rumors of that, but not in the essays that I've ever dealt with. I've heard rumors that it's in their bylaws. As long as you don't tell on the essay, it's not telling. But I don't know anything about that, and I've never dealt with no essays like that.
Got you. I got you. So what do you want to say to the people who are still the staunchest defenders of Meech, even in the face of, no, back up for a second, bro. Let me just clear my head for a second. Why do you think Big Meech has not raised his voice to speak up for himself and to clear his own name? Why do you think he using all these proxy niggas to come up and stand up, try to argue for him instead of standing up himself and answering this shit for himself?
Hey, dog, check this out, homie. This shit is indefensible. You feel me? This shit is indefensible, homie. So this is what I told my crew and all the fellas that I rock with. I told them that the nigga was going to have to hide Tammy Collins. And at any point that he fell out with her, because she's attention hungry, at any point that he fell out with her, that she would spill on him. You feel me? Right. And this is what we have coming to fruition right now.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So this shit is indefensible, homie.
All right.
If you feel the same way I feel, this nigga's an ungrateful nigga. You feel me?
Right.
So this shit is indefensible, homie.
Right. So how do you feel about people like Lil Meech and the Sosa guy, like trying to attack your family name and directly trying to go at your people, at your blood? How do you feel about that?
It's a deflection. You know, I have no comment on these guys. Sosa's a worker. I don't know his son. I remember being around his son when he was first born. I know his mom, Tyra, but I don't know the kid, you understand? But, you know, they trying to fight for their brand. They trying to salvage this BMF shit, homie. Because this is how they make their living. This is how niggas is getting in the clubs still to this day. This is how niggas fucking, you feel me? They trying to salvage their brand, homie. And you don't have men anymore. So the silence only says complicity. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. I get you. I understand.
Yeah. So man, I got to get off this joint, man. It's been a alhamdulillah, man. All praise to Allah. Thank you, man, because it ain't many of us left, dog.
Yes, sir.
You feel me?
Yes, sir.
It ain't many of us left, man.
Absolutely.
Alhamdulillah. Ain't many of us left, man.
Yes, sir.
So I thank you, man. Hit this line if you need me. You feel me?
I got you. It's been an honor and privilege, brother. Salute.
Nothing.
Hey, my treat today. Thank you. But I don't think they...
All right, y'all. What's up, man? Welcome to the Podcast with Soul. The Podcast with Soul, sticking to Frank's hearing, United States of America versus Dion Gatlin. Frank's hearing dated October 17th, 2016. Now, what this particular defense attorney does right out of the gate is begins to attack the relationship, the sexual relationship between Tammy Cowens and Keith Cromer. And he snatches her soul right out of her body and just obliterates her credibility, right? And just pretty much gets her to confess on the stand, that she has lied to government agents and will lie. We're gonna get to that. So my man is money. Shout out to Herman, man. Shout out, what's his name? What's my man's name? Hold on, y'all. Robert Herman out of St. Louis. Robert Herman out of St. Louis. He goes right from the gate. He tells her, the court tells her she's still under oath, right? And he goes right straight to her, differentiating a professional relationship versus a personal relationship or sexual relationship. And he compares and juxtaposes her relationship with Jack Harvey to the relationship with Keith Cromer. You understand? And I haven't, Jack Harvey testifies in this case, but I don't have that information. I would have to pull it down, and I'm not really interested. I don't even know if I'm interested in doing that. But what he's saying is the professional relationship you had with Jack Harvey, you didn't do that with Keith Cromer, right? And he starts asking her about when they first met. Now, this is the key. Remember, I told you, and if you read somewhere in the Frank's hearing, Tammy Cowens expresses verbally on the stand that she met Keith Cromer after Jack Harvey retired. She got a call from Keith Cromer either the same day or the day after Jack Harvey retired. Remember, we spoke about that? And if you look in the Frank's hearing, you're going to find that. And I'm not going to do that right now, but I just remember that's what it was. But now, when my man is drilling her, right, he's asking her, yo, did you ever go out drinking with Jack Harvey? She was like, nah. Did you go to social events with Jack Harvey? No. And the reason you didn't do that is because that's prohibited by the agent's code of conduct. Isn't that right? And she says, I don't know their code of conduct, but I know that what you're saying is correct in regards to Jack Harvey. Now, he starts going on. Jack Harvey retired in July of 2011. Attorney Herman, if Mr. Harvey says he retired in July 2011, you have no information to disagree with that, do you? Tammy Cowens, that is correct. Herman, and you said that it was within days that you met Mr. Cromer. Remember we said that? Remember we read that? Tammy Cowens, no. I met Mr. Cromer previously before Mr. Harvey retired. So here, now she's changing her whole joint. Boom, Herman come back. So you, this how that's, so you met Mr. Cromer before Mr. Harvey retired? Tammy Cowens, well, you're saying, so now you met. No one has ever asked me when I met. Then the U.S. attorney objects. The judge makes him rephrase the question, but y'all know what it is. Mr. Harvey comes back. All right. And I'm having, I don't know if my ears are blocked up, but I'm having, hold on now, where's my other part? But I'm having, it may be me. I'll talk louder. This is Tammy Cowens. So Herman comes back. So when did you first meet Mr. Cromer in relationship to Mr. Harvey's retirement? Tammy Cowens. I met Mr. Cromer one time prior to Mr. Harvey retiring at Jason's Deli with Mr. Harvey and I think another agent. So she recollects with clarity the deli, Jason's Deli, and she met Mr. Cromer earlier before Mr. Cromer. She met Mr. Cromer earlier before Jack Harvey retired. Busted, right? So now let's get on to this. So now Herman starts getting on her about the first time they met. So after, well, we know now she can lie. They done met before Mr. Harvey retired. But now Jack Harvey's turned her over to Cromer. So he calls her on the phone or email or something and says, yo, let's meet up. This is within days of Harvey retiring. They meet out at Stonecrest Mall in Latonia, Georgia. I used to live in Atlanta. This is off of I-20 out there in Latonia. For those of y'all that live in Atlanta, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So they meet out at the Stonecrest Mall. He tells her, I got to pick up a gift for my wife. It's her birthday. Let's meet at Stonecrest Mall. It was a public place. When he meets her for the first time, he got another agent with him, professional joint. She had, Herman asked, was it a black dude or a white dude he was with? She said it was a black dude, public place. July, was this around July 2011? She's like, yeah. Then he asks her, when was the second time you met her? She come out and say, I met him at Applebee's in Conyers, Georgia. That's also in the Atlanta metro area out on I-20. He's asking her, was there any hugging and kissing going on there? She's like, nah. Then she says, oh, hold up. Let me back up. Now, See, now let me keep going, and then I'm gonna add my input. Now, because Herman's asking, is this the first time you met you met Keith Cromer alone? She says, yeah, out at the Applebee's in Conyers, Georgia. So my man getting ready to step to her on that, and she said, oh, hold up, let me backtrack. That wasn't the first time me and him met alone. We met another time out in Stockbridge, Georgia, at a spot called Benchwarmers. It was a sports bar. And they went there. He asked her to come down. But he ain't got no agents with him this time. He by himself with some of his homeboys from college, right? So really they meeting alone. So he trying to pin it down, Herman trying to pin it down on what date, what's the date? What is this? August, July, she, I don't know, I can't remember dates. And then she says, that was the first time me and him met alone. And then the time we met at Applebee's was the second time me and him met alone with no agent, which is against the code of conduct of DEA agents, right? I guess, I don't know, I ain't no DEA agent, but I guess every time they meet with a confidential source or an informant, they have to have another agent with them. Anybody that's familiar with that, please put that in the comment section if that's true. So, it's a sad story, man. This whole case is a sad story, man. Everybody lost. Everybody in this case lost. But let's get back to what we're talking about. So he calls her up and says, yo, I need to talk to you, man. He was down. He was, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't writing exact. He was depressed. And she's asking, like, well, what's the matter? What's wrong? His 12-year-old son, Keith Cromer's 12-year-old son, just died from cancer. And his wife is having an affair, and he found out. So he's dealing with a lot. My man is dealing with a lot. And then she begins to open up and get intimate with her personal life about her husband having been killed in a car accident. So not sure if he already knew, but now the intimacy is forming according to this paperwork. Now I don't know if she lied and they had been with each other 5-6 years ago. I don't know, because this girl is a liar, right? Now,
Powerful immune support inspired by nature. Nature's way.
Rain-X water repellency wiper blades outsmart the elements.
A wondering commercial break real quick, man. Dog dissecting work podcast. So Sean G, look him up, watch yourself.
He's found out his wife is having an affair. His son just died from cancer at 12 years old. And he's telling her about that. So now it's no longer professional, right? And Herman is on her. Herman don't care nothing about it. Herman working purely off the left cerebral cortex, the left brain, the analytical side, no emotion. He's on her top. You know what I'm saying? What's the date? She's like resisting to tell him the date because Herman is trying to establish when they started having sex and how soon. Her thing is, she tries to be like, she one of them women, you know what I'm saying, that make a nigga wait on the kitty cat. You understand what I'm saying? She's like, she has some type of principles and standards, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, then she says, my man, Herman's like, give me a date. What's the date? She says, I'm not resisting, but I just want to be truthful. This is what she said, right? He says, I understand. Tammy Cows. So you're asking me to give you an approximation of something I can't do. I can't tell you how it transpired, but you're asking me dates, and I can't lie and tell you something I don't know, right? So he starts talking about that, right? And they meet up again, and They meet at Applebee's again, right? After they meet at the Benchwarmers joint, and after they meet at Applebee's, they meet at the Applebee's again. And at this point, she says she has a martini. She has a drink. Is this it? Is this the one? No. No, this ain't it. Bad information. So, Attorney Herman is asking her, yo, when you met him out at Stonecrest Mall, did you discuss drug transactions? She said no. When you met him at Benchwarmers, did y'all discuss drug transactions? No. When you met him at Applebee's, did y'all discuss drug transactions? Which is what you were told you will be doing with Hispanics. Did you discuss any drug transactions? She says no. Right? So what she's hired for, they're not even doing. Yet, Herman points out, you getting money. They're making payments to you. They're making payments to you. So they meet up at Benchwarmers again, out of Stockbridge, and she gets tipsy. She says she has a martini, and she's a little tipsy. If I drink one martini, I get tipsy. I get, all that old, come on with the fakeness, man. So she's supposedly tipsy from one martini, and she has to drive home to her crib, and Keith Cromer's telling her, I'm going to follow you to make sure you get home all right. She's like, nah, it's cool, I'm good. He's like, nah, I'm going to follow you. She's like, nah, I'm good. So she's sitting in her driver's seat. He get in the passenger seat. He bend over, he reach over, grab her, and kiss her. And this is supposedly the first time that they kiss. And they don't discuss. They don't discuss no business transaction, right? And now this is Herman is saying this ain't no business. You ain't no DEA informant. In the sense of you're trying to nab Hispanics or anybody else for that matter, right? Then he asks her, when did you start having sex? And she says, well, me and him discussed that we wouldn't have sex until after he divorced his wife. I guess him and his wife were going through a divorce. And then he says, all right. He asks her, like, when did you have sex with him? She says, did you have sex with him? No, I wouldn't really say soon thereafter because we agreed not to have sex until he divorced his wife. That was our agreement. You're asking, so I'm telling you. Herman, why would you even have that conversation? Let's not have sex until you divorce your wife. This is what he's asking. And this is what she says. This is what Tammy Cowan says. Tammy Cowan. Because we were intimately kissing, and I guess we had a desire, we're human, so we had a desire for one another. That's, keep in mind, I had not been sexually active until Terry White. So I had not had sexual intercourse for quite some time. And I have been celibate since Keith Cromer. So if that answers your question, I mean, we are human, we have physical needs, so we both had a desire, but we chose not to go there to answer your question. So she brings Terry White back up. That nobody had hit it since Terry White. All right? This is the paperwork. This is the court documents, right? So let's keep going. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on my Instagram too, man. My Instagram page is the podcast. So I want to thank all my new subscribers and welcome to the channel. I'm glad y'all like the videos. Y'all been telling me you like what I'm putting out, so I'm glad you do. Now, check me out. Jack Harvey, turns her over to Keith Cromer in July 2011. August, September, October, November. November, Thanksgiving, Keith Cromer is at her house. They spent Thanksgiving together. Herman, were you in a personal, intimate, and yo, for the people, y'all be in the comment section saying, yo, I'm too slow to take, then don't watch, man. This is very detail-oriented work. And I'm not on here just speaking from my emotions, with no type of documentation. I'm coming from actual court documents, man. So, chill. So, were you in a personal, intimate, touching relationship prior to Thanksgiving? The judge asked, of what year? Tammy Cowens. Thanksgiving of what year? Herman, 2011. Tammy Cowens. I mean, I guess I was. I can't say the date. We were in an intimate relationship. We were definitely in a sexual intimate relationship prior to Thanksgiving. No. He says, prior to Thanksgiving? Tammy Cowens. Of 2011? We didn't establish that. Herman, correct. He's trying to be patient with it. Tammy Cowens. Prior to Thanksgiving of 2011? I can't say that. I think maybe we were not sexually active at that time. Don't hold me to it, because I remember he spent Thanksgiving with me, and I don't think at that time we were sexually active. Herman, well, and here's the point. Sexually active, I don't mean having intercourse. I mean, was there physical intimacy prior to that time? Tammy Cowens. He was at my house on Thanksgiving. I think we were probably kissing at that time. All right. I know we spent Thanksgiving together. The point is you started receiving, I know we spent Thanksgiving together, and then this is Herman. The point is you started receiving payments, regular monthly payments beginning around Thanksgiving. Tammy Cowens, right. Bob Herman, of 2011, Tammy Cowens. That could be so. Whatever the date you have on the monetary money is correct. So she's receiving money, payment, as a government informant, but not doing the government work she was expressly told she would be doing. So what is she being compensated for? Keep that on your forefront of your brain.
Fancy meats of Field and Ocean, 2 for $6.99.
Avoid dull, unmanageable hair.
Yeah, man. Next video, next call, I'm gonna go over to do a bench paperwork, read. I should do it now, but I'm gonna just finish this. Yeah. With Drake all over it.
Let me just say this to clarify something. The money started way before me and Keith Cromer started an intimate relationship, just for the record. The money started way before an intimate relationship between Keith Cromer and myself. I don't know the dates, but I do know that. Herman, let me give you an opportunity to clarify something. Mr. Ho, the U.S. attorney, asked you whether you were ever asked by any government agent to lie about a fact, or whether you did lie to any government agent about a fact. And I believe you told them you did not. Is that correct, Tammy Cowens? To my knowledge, I have not. Herman, all right. You need an opportunity to think about that statement and correct it. Herman is honored. Tammy Cowens, have I lied to a government official about a fact? She asked like a rhetorical question, like to the air. You know how we do that? Bob Herman, yes. Tammy Cowens, none to my knowledge. Bob Herman, all right. Do you recall being interviewed by the Office of Inspector General, don't you? And Bob Herman goes into her interview with an employee at the Office of Inspector General, a Miss Perez, where they're asking her, the Office of Inspector General is another federal agency. They ain't playing radio. They're not playing no games. They want to know what's up. And they're asking her, they know everything. They got it all here. I'm on page 246 and 271. You can read this. Now, so he goes through the report that she's done with the Miss Perez of the Office of Inspector General, and he comes back. He reads the whole thing, and she says, I'm not disputing any of that. I'm missing your point. I'm sorry. This is what she tells Herman. He says, so did you lie? Tammy Cowens, no, I didn't lie. Herman, well, Tammy Cowens, how did I lie? Q, let's go on and read the transcript and see what you said. Now, this is what Herman says. We'll get there. So read with me and make sure I'm reading this correctly. I had to meet with 2 men one night, and the men said that they had this checklist. Okay, do you meet with agents outside? But he told me, he said, you tell them no, because of my, this is Keith Cromer telling her. But he told me, he said, you tell them no because of my title. You can't tell them that That's our personal business, but they can't know because I'm a manager, because I'm over the whole. But see, I thought Keith was over the whole department, so I'm thinking by his title, he's not supposed to really know. So she ends up backtracking, and Keith Cromer tells her to tell the Office of Inspector General, who was investigating him, that don't tell them that me and you have a personal relationship. Lie. And she does. So let's figure this out. Mr. Sherman, what is it exactly that he told you to do? He told you you had to lie about a fact, didn't he? And Tammy Carroll's, well, I guess you could technically say that. So I recant. I did, as you quote unquote, as you say, I guess that would be a lie. So I apologize. Herman, so when agents came investigating where there was a personal prohibited relationship between you and Cromer, you lied. Tammy Carroll's, I guess if you want to say that, yes, sir, I did. Because he asked me not to tell them. And the second time they interviewed me, I think they were his friends, and that didn't come up. And then Herman goes, so if a government agent told you to lie about something, you would go ahead and follow those instructions. Is that what you're telling us? Tammy Carroll's, if a government agent told me to lie at the time, I'm trusting them. Absolutely, I will lie to trust them because they are telling me. You are government officials. You shouldn't be telling me to lie if there's not a reason behind it. This is what she said. Then Herman goes, if the U.S. attorney told you to lie, would you lie? Tammy Carroll's, if I know he's telling me to lie for a reason, if it's going to benefit or something that he knows he's doing, then I mean, and Herman doesn't even wait for her to finish. Sure, you would. Then Tammy Carroll's, right. I mean, you do that when you're a confidential informant. He says, exactly, Herman. Check this part out. Check this part out. Tammy Carroll's, when you go to meet somebody and you say, I got 5 kilograms, you give me this, you lie. Am I correct? Bob Herman. So if somebody, she interrupts her. Am I correct? Herman. So if somebody, I'm not the one answering the questions here today. Listen, you don't ask me no questions. I'm asking you the questions. If somebody told you to lie in this hearing, a government agent told you to lie in this hearing, you do it. Tammy Carroll's, absolutely, I would not do it because there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake here. Bob Herman, you just told us that if a government agent told you to lie and you felt it was important to do so, you would do it. Tammy Carroll's, if it's pertaining to business, that's what I would do. This right here is my life we're talking about. This is your job. So I'm not going to lie for anybody. That's it, man. So the thing is this, and I want to let's stay on topic, right? And let's deal with the facts. Let's deal with the facts. And this is why her getting busted on the stand, admitting to being a liar and lying to government officials. This takes us back to the 3 affidavits. The 3 affidavits. Don't come in the comment section getting at me. I'm dealing with the facts. The first affidavit she did, she was unknown. Her cover wasn't blown. She had just been working with Jack Harvey. There was a professional relationship. There was no malfeasance. There was no bad behavior. Everything was straight up and down like 6 o'clock. And this is when she does the affidavit. When at that time, remember, they say in the motion to suppress, Jack Harvey states that she was extremely reliable and everything checked out with her. And in that first affidavit, she expressly states 2 times that Big Meech in September 2011, check this out, check out the time. She starts getting with Keith Cromer, having these personal meetings, kissing and whatever, having drinks in July 2011, right?